Hey guys, so a couple weeks ago I made this out of brass. Well, in that video I had a couple other ones that I wanted to make too, but this time I'm going to try to do it differently. This is a clip from the previous video where I showed you my foam patterns. Now I have it coated with a layer of drywall mud or gypsum. This helps give it a better surface finish when cast. I added two feeders to this foam pattern because I really wanted to try to make sure I got the brass through that thin area in the middle. And if you guys join me in my live stream following this cast, you guys know that it did not work as planned. But in theory, it should have worked. I'm still confused as to why it didn't. So let's get to the video on how I did this cast. I'm going to use this two-part casting flask that I use for green sand for today's cast. I'm going to fill the bottom of this with sand. This will give it a barrier between the foam pattern and the wooden bottom. Next, I'm going to put the pattern on top of the sand, gently pressing it into the sand. Then I'm going to continue filling it with more dry sand all the way to the top of the feeders or the sprue. Now I'm going to brush away any of the sand that got on top of the foam and vibrate the container using my Sawzall just to try to get a better compaction around the foam. Now that that's finished, I'm going to place a pouring basin over top of the foam. This is where the molten brass will be poured into the pattern. Fill around the basin with more sand just to try to lock it into place. You don't want the pouring basin to fall over in the middle of your pour. For today's brass melt, I'm going to melt down the remainder of the cast from the last brass melt that I showed in the beginning of the video, as well as this brass bar. Now that the crucible is loaded up, let's go melt down this brass. If you are new to the channel, I recently started surrounding my casting area with sand. Because if you notice my driveway, there's a couple spots where I poured accidentally molten metal on my blacktop driveway and it kind of ruined it in certain areas. So that's kind of a safety precaution. Alright, the brass is molten and it's about 2000 degrees Fahrenheit and ready to pour. I'm going to let this cool for about 10 more minutes and I'll remove it from the sand. And this is where I was really disappointed in my cast, because you could see it did not fill out the foam pattern completely. Alright, so it didn't work. We're going to try it again with my other foam pattern. So we're going to reload this crucible with some more brass, and hopefully it's going to work the second time. I'm not going to waste any time in showing you that process. Again, I'm doing the same exact thing as I did in the beginning of the video. So now we are ready to pour. The brass is molten once again, and we're going to give this another shot. Same thing as before, I'm going to let this set for about 10 minutes before removing it from the sand. And this one didn't work either. If you're still here, definitely don't leave the video yet. Hang tight for another 30 seconds and hear me out, because I'll be speaking after this shortly.
Well, that didn't go very well. Both casts didn't work. I don't really understand why. I mean, usually you would think it wasn't hot enough, so it wasn't able to burn away all the foam, but I had it at 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit, so I don't understand. The first time, I thought maybe the sprue broke on the one side, so the molten metal stopped and wasn't able to fill out the rest of the pattern, because the other side of it did. But that last one, I didn't vibrate it, I didn't do anything. I have no idea why that failed the way it did. That makes no sense to me. I guess that's going to be it for today's cast, guys. I'm sorry it didn't go as planned, but when does it, right? When does metal casting ever really go to planned? So guys, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Definitely leave a comment, let me know what you think, what it could have been, what I should do differently for the next one, because I really want to do that. I mean, as I said earlier in the video, I made it out of green sand a few weeks back. Maybe I'm just gonna have to do it with green sand. We'll have to see. Later.